Hidden behind the morning mist in the Venetian lagoon lies Poveglia Island, a tiny scrap of land with a sinister past. It was here in the late 1700s that any ship suspected of carrying the plague was forced to unload its passengers, never to leave. But lurking beneath the surface of this golden age was a deadly threat, the bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death. It arrived in Europe on trading ships from Asia, causing widespread devastation and killing millions. Upon arrival, the crew and passengers were forced to disembark and enter the lazaretto, leaving their fate uncertain. Those who recovered from the plague spoke of a horrifying experience. They described a scene of utter chaos and despair, with the cries of the dying echoing across the island day and night. Beggiatoli was convinced that lobotomy, a procedure first pioneered by Egas Manet in Portugal, could offer a path to recovery for many of his patients. In the aftermath of this scandal, Baghdadi was dismissed from his post. However, his dark legacy continued to cast a shadow over the hospital. The vision was to create a modern institution that would offer treatment and care to those suffering from mental illness. It was said that he had been driven to madness by the horrors he had witnessed during the plague quarantine days, ultimately meeting a tragic end when he fell from the hospital's bell tower. While the exact details of the incident varied, the underlying tale served as a warning to those who dared to question the sanity of the asylum. Some whispered that his fall was nothing more than an accident, a victim of circumstance. Despite the warnings and eerie tales, some brave souls continued to visit Poveglia Island, hoping to catch a glimpse of its haunting beauty, or perhaps test their limits against the unknown. Accompanied by two others, he ventured into the dilapidated structures and experienced a sudden onset of nausea. Was it cursed by the bubonic plague or something older and darker? Some believe that the island itself may hold a supernatural presence, causing those who enter to experience strange and unsettling phenomena. The numerous accounts of eerie occurrences, from disembodied voices to ghostly apparitions, lend credence to this theory. Another investigator, a well-known paranormal researcher, shared a chilling encounter during a daytime visit. He claimed that despite the absence of fog, he could still sense a heavy, oppressive atmosphere. As he walked through the ruins, he heard what sounded like footsteps above him, though no one else was present. These accounts, along with others, add to the enigma of Poveglia, leaving visitors both intrigued and apprehensive about the island's haunting presence. Among them are urban explorers and paranormal investigators, drawn to the island's reputation for strange phenomena. Others, however, claimed that he was pushed by an unseen force, forever consumed by the darkness that enveloped Poveglia. The true nature of Poveglia's mysteries may never be fully uncovered, leaving room for speculation and debate among those captivated by its haunting tales. However, the site's grim history as a place of death and suffering lingered. Many of the staff and patients claimed to have experienced strange phenomena, including unexplained chills, sudden panic, and a pervasive sense of dread. Some even reported hearing voices whispering in the darkness or seeing shadowy figures moving through the halls. However, unlike his colleagues, he lacked the necessary tools and expertise to perform the procedure correctly. Undeterred, he improvised using primitive instruments like ice picks and sharp nails, often without anesthesia. The island was then abandoned, left to the mercy of time and the elements. However, those who venture too close are said to become ill, experiencing dizziness, nausea, and an overwhelming sense of dread. Fishermen are particularly wary of the waters surrounding Poveglia, believing that bringing up artifacts from the island brings misfortune. To this day, locals refuse to set foot on Poveglia, respecting the island's somber history and the potential danger it may hold. Today, Poveglia stands as a haunting reminder of the suffering that once unfolded within its borders. Some claim to witness inhumane scenes, such as patients being locked inside the hospital without proper ventilation or care, left to die slow and agonizing deaths. The healthy watched helplessly as the sick grew steadily worse until they too succumbed to the disease. As the plague continued to ravage through Europe, more and more ships arrived in Venice, bringing with them a steady stream of victims to be quarantined on Poveglia. By some estimates, over 160,000 people would perish on this tiny island, becoming a grim reminder of the deadly grip the disease had on humanity. Inside, they were separated into three categories: the healthy, the sick, and the dead. In 1920, a devastating outbreak of the Spanish flu swept across the globe, claiming millions of lives and leaving a trail of suffering in its wake. Italy, like many other countries, found itself grappling with the impact of the pandemic, desperately seeking solutions to combat its spread. The healthy were confined to one part of the island, closely monitored in case they developed symptoms. The sick were sent to the hospital, where they received treatment with little hope of recovery, and the dead were taken to a separate area for mass burning or burial. Venice, with its extensive travel network, was particularly vulnerable. So to protect itself, it established a quarantine system in the Venetian lagoon, a series of islands close to the mainland where ships suspected of carrying the plague could be isolated and monitored. These included Torcello, Malamocco, and Poveglia, each playing a role in containing the disease. But among them, Poveglia soon earned a reputation like no other. What happened on this island remained unknown until decades later, when historians uncovered the terrifying truth about the ships that arrived, the people who stayed, and those who died there. However, as the centuries passed and outbreaks continued, this rudimentary facility proved inadequate. By the late 1700s, the Venetian government realized they needed a more robust system to combat the relentless spread of the plague. And so in 1778, Poveglia Island was transformed into a quarantine station and lazaretto, a place of isolation and suffering. This dark chapter in history would leave an indelible mark on the island and those who came in contact with it. Join us as we take you back to a time when Venice was fighting to survive the bubonic plague and uncover what really went down on this mysterious island. The Great Plague of Justinian. By the 1300s, Venice had grown into a powerful maritime republic, dominating trade and exploration in the Mediterranean. In the mid-16th century, a small hospital was built on the island to treat sailors who showed symptoms of plague while passing through the lagoon. Arrival at Poveglia. Any vessel entering the lagoon and displaying signs of plague was immediately ordered to Poveglia. In the ensuing years, Poveglia became notorious for the horrific conditions within its confines, the asylum on the island. By the early 20th century, the threat of plague had receded, but a new darkness was about to fall upon Poveglia. As the search for answers intensified, the Italian government turned to Dr. Giovanni Beggiati, a controversial figure known for his unorthodox methods in treating mental illness. By 1921, rumors of his brutal practices reached the authorities, leading to an investigation that revealed the shocking truth about the mistreatment of patients at the hands of the rogue doctor. With the Spanish flu pandemic eventually coming under control, the Italian government sought to transform the plague quarantine facility into a full-fledged psychiatric hospital. Amidst this unsettling atmosphere, rumors began to circulate about the former Dr. Beggiatoli, silence and shadows. In 1968, the hospital finally closed its doors, leaving behind a legacy of pain and sorrow. The island has earned the nickname the Island of Ghosts, drawing those seeking to uncover its secrets and experience its eerie atmosphere. Modern encounters. One such individual is a paranormal investigator who recounts his nighttime exploration of Poveglia, a haunting mystery. With its history intertwined with plague, suffering, and tragedy, Poveglia Island remains an enigmatic place shrouded in mystery. Others argue that the island's reputation is the product of mass hysteria and folklore, with many of the reported sightings and experiences stemming from overactive imaginations or outright hoaxes. What do you think about Poveglia Island? Let us know your thoughts.